Welcome to the Saul's Newsstand News Review for January 17, 2020. The New York Post reports 2020 Democrat senators to pause campaigns for impeachment trial. Democratic senators seeking the party's presidential nomination are facing a new dilemma, scheduling their campaigns around Trump's impeachment trial in Washington, D.C. With less than 3 weeks until the Iowa caucuses and less than a month until the New Hampshire primary, senators are planning to stay active in the race all the way in Washington through campaign surrogates and advertising. Senators Amy Klobuchar, Michael Bennet, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren will all be required to sit in their seats without electronic devices during the impeachment trial, a process that could go longer than planned if witnesses are permitted. If the prosecution, defense, and senators each use all of their allotted time, the first phase of the trial could last 6 to 10 days. Senators are also expected to be called 6 days a week for the duration of the trial. An op-ed from the Washington Examiner states, Democrats' proposal would ruin Medicare Part D. Beware every single Democratic presidential candidate when it comes to the Medicare prescription drug benefit. All of them would implement a change that would ruin one of the most successful elements of the program. Again and again during the debate on Tuesday night, as was the case in all discussions on the issue in prior debates, all the candidates agreed that the government should negotiate the prices for Medicare Part D drugs. Democrats have been pushing this idea for 2 decades, even before the Part D program was created in 2003 legislation. The statistics show the idea was bad then, and that the system has worked immensely better without government negotiation ever since. Republicans instead insisted that the free market would keep costs down better and that artificial government interference would instead drive private insurers out of the market, creating less competition that would result in higher, not lower prices in the long run. The numbers show Republicans were right. When fully implemented in 2006, the actual average premium was a 14% savings from the original projection. Since then, the market has kept the average premium exactly in line with overall ordinary inflation in the economy, rather than with the much higher rate of healthcare inflation in the intervening years. And finally, The Intercept reports, fact check, Joe Biden has advocated cutting Social Security for 40 years. As early as 1984 and as recently as 2018, former Vice President Joe Biden called for cuts to Social Security in the name of saving the program and balancing the federal budget. Last week, Senator Bernie Sanders highlighted Biden's record on Social Security in prosecuting the case that Biden isn't the most electable candidate. After a Sanders campaign newsletter continued the attack on Biden's Social Security record, the Biden campaign complained to fact-checkers at PolitiFact that his comments were taken out of context. Placed in context, however, Biden's record on Social Security is far worse than one offhand remark. Indeed, Biden has been advocating for cuts to Social Security for roughly 40 years. Biden himself, at least on his campaign website, now supports making Social Security more generous, not less. But that's at odds with decades of his own advocacy, a record that could become a major political liability among voters concerned Biden will finally get his wish to trim back Social Security checks. With this year's presidential contest being fought over the terrain of electability, Biden's 35-plus year effort to cut Social Security, arguably the most popular government program in existence, is potentially a major liability among older voters. And that concludes your Saul's Newsstand News Review for January 17, 2020. For more political news faster, visit saulsnews.com.